Inventorship is law, authorship is a preference. So just because they're an author doesn't mean they're an inventor. If you don't get that right, you can lose your patent rights.
Inventors get a share of whatever profits come in terms of like revenue after all expenses are paid and everything, right?
Yeah, 37.5% goes to the inventors. I definitely keep track of metrics, but what we're looking at is a different one. I want to see more startups interacting with our office.
Tell us some of the success stories like that people may not be aware of in terms of companies that were started from a tech transfer office and they become highly successful companies.
The biggest one comes to mind is Google. That came out of Stanford. I remember the money because we always talk about it. And I think they sold and got 150 million, and if they would have waited 6 months, it would have been 300 million.
So today we got a very special guest, one of my favorite people at Rice, Miss Patricia Stepp. She's the Assistant Vice President for Rice Tech Transfer. And she's going to be talking to us today about the strategy for the Tech Transfer Office, some interesting success stories related to Tech Transfer, and a lot more. So welcome to the show. Patricia, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Is it just because I write your paychecks why I'm your favorite?
Of course. There is no other reason why. If there was somebody else here, I would say the same thing, just so you're clear on that. But look, Assistant Vice President for Tech Transfer, we got to start off, let people know like exactly what does that mean? What do you do in your day job?
I mean, essentially just means I run the tech transfer office, right? I lead the team that you are on for tech transfer. So what the tech transfer office does at each university is we manage all the intellectual property. So any of the invention disclosures that are coming out of the research labs, we intake that and then we file patents on it. And so we manage that whole patent portfolio process. Then the team that you're on is our licensing team, and that's when we focus on trying to license out that technology to benefit society. So whether it's startups or it's corporate or business partners to do that. And then we also have the contracts team, and they help with any of those research agreements. So you can think of like an industry-sponsored research agreement, and then any collaboration they're having with their research partners at other universities. So transferring materials, data use agreements, collaborations, interinstitutional. So
Okay.
those all come out of the office.
By the time this episode airs, there may or may not be like a short form video explaining what tech transfer is or highlighting some success stories. But I know you come from SkySong, from ASU.
That's right.
You have a long history in tech transfer. You've been in the business for a long time, right? So I know.
Ancient, very long, so long.
All right. So using your knowledge, like tell us some of the success stories like that people may not be aware of in terms of companies that were started from a tech transfer office and they become highly successful companies.
So the biggest one comes to mind is Google, right? That came out of Stanford, so it's a really big one. Gatorade, that came out of Florida. A new one that I learned about is whipped cream in a can. That also came out of tech transfer, so I appreciate those. And then retractable seatbelts.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay. That's
so
amazing.
those are a lot more, but those are the fun ones, right?
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think the one like in preparation for your talk, I think I saw the one with Stanford. I think Stanford got like 10% equity in Google.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't remember. I remember the money because we always talk about it. So I think it was, so in tech transfer, once the company goes public, we just bow out, right? We cash out and because universities aren't here to like manage funds and investments. So we'll just sell. And I think they sold and got 150 million. And if they would have waited 6 months, it would have been 300 million. But nobody would have done that, right? Nobody would have risked, like we just don't have the capacity to do that in university. But if anybody could, it would have been Stanford.
And Rice has some of our own, like, do you know any Rice affiliated, startup companies that have had success in terms of commercializing Rice IP and then going off and making a lot of money?
Yeah, we had one before you or I were there, Prometeor, and that was for a therapeutic that went to clinical trials and was bought by a larger biotech company. We have had one of the new ones is Syzygy. That's Professor Naomi Hallis's company is doing really well. And recently we've been working a lot with Professor Tour's flash joule heating technology, and we have a lot of startups coming out of that, all the way from, students to, serial investors interested in it. So it's a pretty exciting time.
Okay, cool. And actually, with some of the ones you mentioned, I'm not going to, let the cat out the bag yet, but some of those will actually be on the podcast telling their story about how they commercialize the IP and all that good stuff. But I kind of want to know a little bit more about you, if you don't mind. I always tease you about like being old. I didn't want to say it. I was trying to figure out the professional way. You're not old, but I'm just like teasing you a little bit. You are older than me, if that means something. But you bring a lot of good, valuable experience. I'm missing SkySong, kind of just on a high level, kind of give us your story about like how you got into tech transfer and what brought you to Rice University.
It's always funny. I was just at a conference last week and we were talking about how did you get into intellectual property, right? Or how do you get into tech transfer? And nobody's like in high school, like, I want to go be a patent agent or I want to work in tech transfer.
Never, never at all.
So, I mean, it's just a series of events that happen, right? I am a big believer in you should pursue what you're interested in, whatever that is. So if you pursue in it and you're a hard worker and you really like it, you will probably do well, right? If you're really interested. And so I was in grad school for biomedical engineering, and that's when I first saw a law firm trying to recruit grad students. We're like, why are you guys here? Because, when we were younger, we were taught like you go and be a professor or you go do research. And at that time, a long time ago, Andrew, biomedical engineering was a new field.
Okay.
And so there weren't a lot of jobs. Now, definitely. But then it was still kind of a newer, because I think that degree program was created like in the late 70s, which in the engineering world is new, right? Because the rest of the class like I was chemical and undergrad, they're 100 years old, much older. But I decided, I did a postdoc. I decided that I didn't really want to stay in research. It was a very volatile time. I graduated around '08, which is when the economy was having lots of fun. And so some of the law firms will recruit based on degrees. So they need degrees for patent work. So when you're a patent attorney or a patent agent, you have to have the technical knowledge to be able to write the patent applications. So the law firm was looking for biomedical engineers based on their need. They will take you and train you, have you take the patent bar, and then if you want, have you go to law school. I didn't want to do that. I pretty much knew that if I wasn't interested in it, I wouldn't enjoy the school. I joke I probably would have rather gone for a second PhD in another science before I tackled law school.
Oh, God. Okay.
But yeah, so I did that. And then after the law firm, I decided I wanted to go in-house. So I worked in-house as a patent agent, and then I went into tech transfer. So kind of like 3 different areas. This is definitely by far my most favorite one, because you get to learn everything the research is going on in university, right? Whereas when you're at a company or you're in a law firm, you're kind of a specialty niche patent agent.
I appreciate you kind of giving your background about like how you got into tech transfer and everything. What inspired you to come from, ASU to Rice?
It seemed like such an easy shift for me. So at ASU, we were really big on customer service. And when I got there, I thought it was the best job ever to like go out and get people to come work for, to go meet people, to meet with the faculty, understand all their research, and then help them file patents and get it licensed. And what Rice needed, we were already doing at ASU. It was a very big mission from the top down. They came from Columbia. And so the model to me, I could envision, like in my head, I could see for 5 years what I needed to do for Rice. And so I thought it was a really great opportunity to highlight some of my expertise and use it at Rice. And just really, Rice already has all of the innovation, right? They just needed the lift for the customer service part. And to me, that sounded like, I would love to be able to show off Rice. They're already on the national spotlight, so why not have the tech transfer be on the national spotlight too?
Strategy. You got a strategy?
I do have a strategy. So when I was in the interview process, I think we've talked about it. So most tech transfers, there's either a revenue-based model or a customer service model.
Okay.
And Rice was doing a revenue-based model, which is a traditional model where you focus on trying to get the highest revenue out of your tech transfer, right? Out of those inventions and technologies when you're licensing. Okay. The customer service model is more startup entrepreneurship focused. So when Reggie became president, and then they formed Office of Innovation shortly after, it changed the whole kind of goal of Rice in that they wanted it to be more startup friendly. Okay. And the faculty did too. The faculty were asking for it and they just weren't getting it. So when I came from Arizona State University, SkySong Innovations is our tech transfer office. That's what we have been doing for a long time. Okay. And the idea is you get more buy-in. So maybe you're not doing your cherry picking of the technologies of who you think will win to get the highest revenue. What you're doing is more shots on goal, right? Okay. You're trying to just go ahead and patent and file as much as you can, market every technology, and then see what will stick. And then by doing that, eventually you will get your win. Okay. The revenue-based model is still done at some places, but it just usually can not incentivize your faculty, right? Because if they're submitting things and they keep being told no, eventually they're going to stop. But if you just keep saying yes, and then everybody's available to come play the game, right? It just makes it a more faculty-focused tech transfer office, which is what you want at the end of the day because they're your inventors. Okay. No, that's a good point. And then I guess, does it change often with changes in like
administration. And when I say administration, both on a federal, like who's in the White House, but then also
Yeah.
like university president.
Yeah, I mean, of course, that'll trickle down, right? We always like to say the evolution of technology transfer at universities started with the Bayh-Dole Act, which was an act of Congress in 1980. And that was to allow universities to own the IP that was coming out of federally funded research. The government wanted that to happen. And so by doing that, you needed these offices to handle it. It just hadn't been done before. Some universities had done it, but for the most part, nobody knew how to do it. So that kind of started it. So yeah, if they're going to change their minds or do a new act of Congress, things can change, right? But I mean, for the most part, it's going to be your leadership at the university.
Okay. And then, so it's a little spooky right now for a lot of people in this country that we live in
It's
called.
exciting, volatile times.
Yes. So I guess like even though, you know, Reggie came in and we've made this shift to being more of a startup focus or a not startup focus, but customer service based strategy. Like, have there been some thoughts about maybe changing it to something else given, you know, the cuts that we've seen to like federal, you know, grants and all that? Or like, does that kind of trickle down to maybe changing the strategy?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
So we're still very focused. You know, Rice has our momentous goals, and one of those is leader in innovation, right? And a lot of health innovation as well. So we're going to move along how we've been trying to. So no, at this time, there isn't a need to either.
Okay.
Maybe if you wanted to preempt it, but I'm kind of a fan of waiting to see what happens.
Okay, gotcha. And then like lately, I can say, and you know this just as well, that we're starting to see like a lot more happen in terms of the AI and software space. Not only in terms of our university specifically, but just in general, in terms of like IP. And so I kind of want to get your thoughts in terms of like software and Alice and AI and what can be patented or not. And so
Yeah.
I guess one question that a lot of people may have is just in general, can software be patented?
Software can be patented. You just have to pay attention to case law, right? They've been doing a lot to update and make that more reasonable. I would say you're right. Alice was a case where they basically said, you know, you can't patent software. We had Andre Iancu, who was the director. He was a software litigator 3 directors ago, and he really wanted to make it more feasible. So there's some steps now we can take that the patent office has outlined it. But I mean, at the end of the day, AI is here. It's already in a lot of the different tech areas when we're doing patents anyways. Like I just was at a patent conference and somebody was like, oh, I do, you know, chemistry, and it hasn't really hit my drafting yet. I'm like, oh, it's coming. Don't worry. It's hitting everything and it's coming. But the other thing is it can actually help us, right? Because there's so much case law. It's so hard to keep up with like what you need to do to draft patents. And if you can use AI to tell you like, hey, summarize all this case law, help me figure out what's proper claim drafting for AI. And then it'll help you. You know, I have a friend, that's all he does is software patenting. He's been doing it for 15 years now.
Nice. And then I got ahead of myself. I want to go back real quick. So you kind of broke down the differences in strategies of customer service versus revenue model. I know we're doing more of a customer service model here at Rice University, but for you in your office and when you're setting the goals, like what's important to you? Like, I know we've got all these different metrics, whether it's like patents issued, et cetera. So I'm just kind of curious for you in your own words, like what are you prioritizing for the office?
Well, you're right. Even if I wasn't in tech transfer, I think customer service should be everybody's model in a work environment, right? Mm-hmm. Whoever's your customer, you need to make sure that they're happy or nobody's going to be happy. So my big thing, I do keep track of metrics. I definitely keep track of metrics. But what we're looking at is a different one. I want to see more startups interacting with our office.
Okay.
Right? That's the customer service model. They want to see it. I want that outcome. I try to give you guys any feedback. I ask faculty all the time, like, how's my office doing? Anything we can do to improve? Mm-hmm. You know, my thing is always take the advice and implement it, right? Don't ever think like we finally hit whatever I needed to hit and we're fine. I'm always like trying to understand like what do I need to do to be even better? And what tools do you need to be able to do that? Like I would never try to implement something and not ask the team, like, does this seem feasible? Because also the other thing that's really important to me, customer service is internal and external, right? Mm. I need my team happy. I don't want to be working if I'm unhappy and stressed and don't have the services or the tools that I need, you know, or my work environment's bad. So, you know, I look at it as, yes, we're trying to make sure that we're filing more patents, but that's also the customer service part, right? It's a metric, but it's not a hard metric. Like we just want to see that the faculty are getting more patents filed, their startups are licensing more technologies, and that everyone is happy with their work balance, and that faculty are happy, right? And faculty are happy is you need to check in. You just need to check in with them. Like, don't ever think that, hey, I thought I did everything everybody asked. Like, continually ask.
Okay. I like that. That's like a holistic approach. Like,
it needs to be yes, it needs to be, right? Like, I think I told you once I went to visit, I do a kind of a campaign every year to try to go visit faculty or chairs or deans or institutes, and one of them was like, nobody from your office has ever been here in my office in 15 years. I'm like, okay, sorry. But you need to know who your customers are, right? Like, you don't sit behind the computer the whole time. That's not going to help.
I like that. Big believer in that as well. Look, so engaging more startups, really exciting. We're definitely seeing a lot of that on the licensing side. Given your background and then also like a lot of the conversations you're having already, like what are some best practices that you can maybe recommend for startup companies in terms of like making the licensing / commercialization process smoother for them, and how can it be more better for them? Like what are some things that they should be doing, or maybe conversations? When should they be having conversations with us? Just want to get some kind of thoughts there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's buckle down on that holistic approach. Like anytime you want, just go ahead and talk to us. Right? It's better to know early, and then we can help develop that strategy. Where if you come in late and there's rushes and there's timelines, then everything kind of gets truncated and we can't give it the attention we would want to. For startups, I always say, like, try not to use your friends and family as your legal counsel.
Oh, huge one.
That would be really nice. Make sure that whoever is the CEO knows what the role of a startup CEO is, because a startup CEO has a very specific role. Yeah. Right? And understand, is that something that the person who wants to be the CEO wants to be the CEO for that reason?
Amazing. Look, another question I had for you, we're almost to the end here, but what are some of the most common challenges that may jeopardize patent rights and commercialization efforts? And so I ask this because it's like people submit an invention disclosure form and they may not put much thought into it, and they may or may not, put down all the correct inventors, or maybe they had a student in the lab who just, put a couple of things in the computer and then just gave the PI the output. But having them understand inventorship and so many other things can kind of have a large effect in the long run. So just kind of curious, in your own words, like what are some of those challenges that people should be thinking about if they're a faculty member, in terms of like what could jeopardize patent rights, and then also in terms of commercialization?
Yeah. Well, so one, we are trying to use some AI within the office to help with that, right? A lot of the faculty feedback we've gotten is, oh, the invention disclosure is so long, it takes too much. And my whole point is it shouldn't take you any time. I always say it's like the cherry on top of your ice cream sundae. Like, the research is your focus. Like, let us go off and do this. So we're looking at some really cool tools where maybe they just give us what they have. It'll fill out the disclosure form, or like an audio clip of a presentation they did. But we have an IP talk that we do across. All of you have access to it, right? And I try to say, anytime, just offer to give this talk. It's 30 minutes long. You can make it shorter or not. But the three things we always talk about from a university standpoint, because I've worked in-house, right? And from a company standpoint, it's totally different. So the needs vary based on, this is very specific to university. And so you're right, it's inventor versus authorship. It's really understanding that, because inventorship is law, authorship is a preference, right? You kind of pick who you want to be author. So just because they're an author doesn't mean they're an inventor. If you don't get that right, you can lose your patent rights. The other is a public disclosure. That's probably the biggest one. And in a university setting, I always like to say, it's not that you can't publicly disclose. It's, if you want to file IP, come talk to us and let us help you on what you can disclose and when you can disclose it. So never would we say, hey, don't go out and present, don't publish. That's not what we do. It's just, when should you talk to us and file the patent, and then don't worry about the public disclosures. Because in the US, we have a grace period of a year. Once you disclose it, you have 1 year to file. Most of the world does not have that. Once you disclose it publicly, you can't file a patent on it. And so those are just some things, like, why would, not anybody who's at a university would need to know that. But it's our job to know that. It's our job to tell you that. And then the other is ownership versus inventorship. So the inventor isn't the owner. It's the university. But if you're an undergrad, that's different. We have situations. Whereas if you're at a company, also it's the same, right? The inventor is not the owner, the company is. And that's also helpful for the startup later on, which is whoever's licensing, you want one entity to license and do the negotiations with, right? Nobody wants to talk to 5 people to negotiate an agreement. So that's the ownership thing is a very beneficial thing too. It kind of consolidates it, makes it easy.
Yeah. And just to piggyback on that point, the inventors get a share of whatever profits come in terms of like revenue after all expenses are paid and everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's publicly available. I always defer and give that to anybody at Rice. And it's IP policy 333. You can Google it. 37.5% goes to the inventors.
I like it. I need to invent something for the office so I can get like a little extra.
Yeah, I mean, we talk to anybody. You know, I think we focus a lot on faculty, but that's not the case. Staff works, right? The athletics department, anybody can file the IP. So, you know, we always want to know about it. I always want to know what's going on at the university, see if we can help.
Yeah, no, and that's true. We've seen some interesting ones from all kinds of departments I never would have expected. So that's exciting. Last question, then I'm gonna get you out of here. Like last week, I don't know what the name of it was, like Clean Energy Tech Startup Week here. There was a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of clean tech coming out of the university, just built on chemistry or material science, or a lot of different exciting things are happening. Carbon capture, battery technology, AI. To add on top of that, we're in this Ion building, the investor studio. There was just an announcement about the ARC across the way.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just curious, like your holistic view, like if we do this right, like in terms of IP protection, entrepreneurship, like what do you see Rice looking like, or what role do you see Rice having in the Houston innovation ecosystem if we have all this excitement and we do everything the right way?
Yeah, well, you hire good people like you and your team, right? And Andy, who leads it.
There you go.
But I'm doing the clean energy mentorship program for Rice Alliance. And I also went to the Venture Forum last week.
Nice.
And they had a great panel. And afterwards, you know, I went up and just asked them like, hey, you know, you mentioned a lot of things that we talked to our startups about, but do you think it would be helpful where we are we're the office that's housing all of it? What if we, based on the needs that we're seeing from the market analysis we do and talking to companies when we try to market technologies, what if we pulled together certain technologies and felt like that would be a really cool company? And not just let the inventors tell us, hey, I want to form a company based on my one tech. And I say, well, what if I take these three techs and now you have a bigger product portfolio, you're reaching a bigger market. And I had two of them say that would be great. That's already what we're thinking too.
Oh, that's exciting.
And so that's like kind of a level up for tech transfer, right? Usually we just do point by point, but there's been a lot of, even outside of clean energy, other tech transfer offices here in Houston, we've talked about that because then based on all this market analysis you're doing, that actually if I could pull together these three technologies, it'd be an even better company. Yeah,
I really like that because I've started to see more. A lot of times the researchers, they're in the same, like a specific area. Like we have a couple of PIs, I don't want to say their names, but they have like a radar imaging portfolio. They have a lensless imaging portfolio. It's all these different portfolios of technology that they're creating. So I think that would be really exciting and interesting to kind of see that pulled together into a specific single company with more IP and make it more valuable.
Like we talk about hydrogen, right? And there's all the colors of hydrogen throughout the clean energy. Well, what if we could target all of them instead of just one?
Yeah.
Right, with one company.
Okay, exciting.
So, yeah, I think that's a neat idea. And I like that they were all excited about it and said they're already doing it.
Okay, exciting stuff. Well, look, I appreciate you taking out time to come chat with me. I know you're a busy woman. You're like always on a world tour, going to all these different offices, all these different meetings. So
I just go and brag about all of you. That's all I do is I go talk about how awesome our office is, and I just go tell people that over and over again.
Look, well, we make it easy for you, right?
That's right. You do. You guys do.
There. Hey, but look, before I let you go, you're a big foodie. Give people one place they got to eat, and I don't want no bougie place because I know you be going to like all these Michelin
I do
star.
all of them. Okay. I actually was just looking today, and I want to say it was All Star Chefs magazine just did rankings, and it was Shakara Bakery.
Say it again.
Shakara, SHAKKARA, and Pudgy's Cookies. They won for bakery, and so I already put that on my Google Maps to try. They do the huge croissants. I guess they're going viral on TikTok. You can get like these huge croissants.
Okay, I found them.
They're in the Post.
Yeah. I found them. Oh, the Post is like a gym. Chopping Block.
I'm going to Chopping Block on Friday
because
I'm going to a concert, so over there, so I'm going to go to it.
Yeah, they got one on Westheimer and one in the Post. Like,
yeah,
you can't miss.
So the Shakara looked good.
Okay.
The Pudgy cookies, I think they're filled cookies. So
I don't know if I can do this though. Like, I got to get back in shape before I do this.
You and me both. Good. So Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I appreciate you again, Patricia. I appreciate you guys for checking out this episode. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. If you are interested in commercializing some rice technology, make sure you check out our website. The link will be in the description below. I appreciate you guys for watching.
Thank you so much.
No problem.